This is Jill Pack with the Seasons of Joy podcast, and this is episode number 83, day 1 of the 5-day Relationship Reboot Challenge. Are you a woman of faith who is struggling to navigate your current season of life? Do you feel like life is just happening to you instead of for you? My name is Jill Pack. I'm a certified life coach and a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And I want you to know that no matter your season or circumstance, it is possible to create a more joyful life. And I would love to show you how. Are you ready? Let's go. Hello, my friends. This week on the podcast, I am issuing a 5-day Relationship Reboot Challenge as you head into the holiday season. This can be a fun time of year as we gather together with loved ones to celebrate. But it can also be a challenging time of year as we gather together to celebrate. The purpose of this challenge is to help you get in the mental and emotional place so that you can navigate this time of year with those you love. Because the truth is, love just feels better. So not only do this for your relationships, but do it for you. For the next 5 days, I am going to be releasing a new challenge each day to help you reboot a relationship of focus in your life. Each challenge will include short exercises to help you gain clarity of what you want to create. By the end of 5 days, you will have completed 5 actionable steps towards a relationship reboot. But before we dive into today's challenge, I want to take a moment to discuss relationships. Relationships have a significant impact on our lives, and as human beings, we are wired for connection and a sense of belonging. Love is a fundamental aspect of our being since we were created by a God who is love. Therefore, it comes as no surprise that relationships are a crucial part of our growth and development while we are here. By learning how to navigate our relationships with ourselves, others, and God with love, we move closer to becoming our best selves. The journey of developing this love isn't always easy, and it requires being intentional. Most individuals perceive a relationship as a bond between two people based on their thoughts, feelings, and actions. However, much of our relationship with anyone else exists only within our own minds. It is the story that we tell ourselves about another person and our thoughts towards ourselves in relation to that person. This understanding is so freeing because it means that we don't have to change anyone else outside of ourselves to have any relationship we truly desire. So, for example, as a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, I have a relationship with President Russell M. Nelson. I did shake his hand once before when he came to preside over a stake conference before he became the president of the church. I listen to his general conference addresses. I read his articles. I watch his social media messages. I read books about him and books he's written. I love and admire him, and he has influenced me in profound ways. It doesn't matter that he knows who I am. I have a relationship with him, and it is the story that I have in my mind about him. Here's another example. You may have a brother-in-law that drives you crazy. You have lots of reasons in your mind of why he is annoying. And you might even say that everyone else agrees with you. And you might be feeling anxious about spending Thanksgiving with him because you know he will be there. However, it isn't your brother-in-law that's driving you crazy. It's the story you are telling yourself about your brother-in-law. The truth is, other people can act however they want to, and it truly doesn't have to make us feel any certain way. Other people cannot hurt our feelings, and the only thing that makes us feel anything are the thoughts that we choose to think about what another person says or does. So I want to share with you 3 parts of a relationship. 1, what people think about you. 2, what you think about other people. And 3, what you think about yourself. Now, we cannot control what other people think of us. We try, but we can't. So the most important parts are what we think about ourselves and others. When we choose to focus on what we can control, we can begin taking charge of our own emotions. And as humans with human brains, we aren't going to show up as our best all of the time. It's just impossible. We're human. We're messy. However, the more aware and intentional we can become, we can improve our chances of showing up in love. So my hope with this challenge is that it will help you up-level your relationships as you move through the holidays. What I will share with you over the next 5 days will apply to any relationship in your life. So I want to invite you right now to consider the relationships in your life and just choose one to focus on for the next 5 days. It could be your relationship with your spouse, your child, your friend, your neighbor, or your coworker. What is one relationship in your life that you are struggling in right now? I want to encourage you to focus on that relationship for the next 5 days. And as you apply the tools that I'm going to be sharing with you to that relationship, you will see your relationship begin to change without having to change the other person at all. It will be amazing, I promise you. And not only that, when you focus on how you show up in that particular relationship, it can't help but affect how you show up in your other relationships. So, on to the 5-day Relationship Reboot Challenge. So today is day 1 of the Relationship Reboot Challenge, and we're going to be talking about defining your values and vision when it comes to strengthening the relationships in your life. My hope is that today's challenge will help you get some clarity around what is important to you and who you want to be in your relationships. Pausing to consider what your values are helps you create a vision of who you want to be in your life and in your relationships. Knowing what your values are increases your confidence, and then you are better able to show up in your relationships because you are living in alignment with your unique personal values. I found a couple of quotes from positive psychology that define the term values that I wanted to share with you today as we begin this discussion. The first one is this: in many ways, values aren't really a thing at all. Values are the ways of living and being in this world that are important and meaningful to you. And the second one is this: identifying our core values offers insight into living a more fulfilling and meaningful life. Knowing them can reduce complexity, bringing clarity to what we do, how we behave, and what we strive for. I love these explanations. Our values are a way of living and being that bring fulfillment and clarity into our lives. So my hope is that by taking the time to reflect on what you value will help you create a foundation for the relationship in your life. That you will begin to understand yourself a little bit more, why you might be showing up the way you do in your relationships, and allow you to align with who you want to be in those relationships. You can begin today intentionally using your personal values as guiding principles in your day-to-day life, and as you make decisions as to who you want to be in the world. So I want to invite you to get a notebook, a journal, or a pad of paper to do some writing. We're going to do a lot of writing over the next 5 days as we work on this challenge together. I've also included in the show notes a link to a small workbook that you can print out to use during this challenge. It's something I created for you so that you can follow along and use to help you gain more clarity in this challenge. So just click the link and you will get it right to your inbox. So the first thing I want you to do is to set a timer for 5 minutes and write what comes to your mind as you think about the following questions. What does the word values mean to you in terms of your relationships? What do you feel passionately about, positive or negative, in your relationships? Why do you think you have strong emotions around those things? Think of a specific relationship you are struggling with. What do you wish was different about this relationship and why? And how do your values reflect in your answers? Okay, I want you to write about those. Just brainstorm, get it all out of your head, right? Really get clarity about what values mean to you and maybe some things that might help you identify some of those values that come to mind as you answer those questions. And then when the timer ends, I want you to look over what you've written down and make a few more notes. What do you notice? Are there things that surprised you? Are there any common themes that you notice? And if there are, what are they? Right? So spend some time reflecting on those questions. And when you've completed that, we're going to move on to the next piece of this challenge. And again, if you have the printed out workbook, you're going to see a list of values. This is by no means a complete list. It's just a sampling of values. If you really want to dive into this, you can go online and look up values and you will find so many. However, the goal isn't to spend extensive time on this. It is to give you a peek inside of who you are so that you can learn more about yourself. So if you have the printed workbook, there are 2 ways you can do this next step. One way is to look at the list of values and begin circling the values that resonate with you until you have circled between 6 to 10. The other way you can do it is to begin crossing off the values that don't resonate with you. Continue crossing off values until you have between 6 to 10 values left that stand out to you. Either way is fine. If you don't have the workbook, just type in your phone's browser values or personal values and write down 6 to 10 that stand out to you. I don't want you to overthink this. There isn't a right way to do this. You're just gathering information. The purpose isn't to judge what you've circled or didn't circle. It's to notice and then celebrate what is important to you. It also doesn't mean you don't have other values. Of course you do. The goal in this is to identify 6 to 10 values to help you on your journey of being more intentional in your life and in your relationships. You can always change and refine this list. A few years back, I had the opportunity to do this work and it left a profound impact on me. Prior to that experience, I had never truly taken the time to contemplate the specific values that I wanted to guide my life. It's not that I didn't have any values before then, but rather I just hadn't dedicated a lot of time to think about them. Perhaps you can relate to this. I imagine that you, like me, had some values that you were aware of. However, it's possible that you hadn't taken the time to write them down and truly consider how they impact your life and your relationship with others. Now that I have a better understanding of my values, I'm better equipped to be the person that I aspire to be. So I want to share with you the values that I have been using to guide my life over the last few years. They are adventure, clarity, confidence, connection, faith, fun, gratitude, love, intentional, personal growth, simplicity. I love spending time doing activities with those I love. It brings me joy to have a clear understanding of who I am and what I want to achieve in life. My confidence in myself empowers me to recognize the worth and value in others, forging deeper connections. My faith in God is a guiding light during difficult times, instilling in me the hope that everything will be okay. I relish the moments of laughter and fun spent with others. I strongly believe in living in the present, cherishing every moment, constantly learning and growing without complicating any of it, and being grateful for all of it. And the value that encompasses all of this to me is love. I want to embody and live a life of love. So as I've worked on some of my relationships in the past, I understand that when I don't spend time with people I love connecting, laughing, and having fun with, I might feel sad and disconnected. It may even lead me to believe that people don't want to spend time with me or believe that something's wrong with me. Understanding that when I'm not feeling self-confident, that may affect how I treat others, and I may not show up as my best in my relationships. Understanding that I value simplicity helps me see that I might feel overwhelmed when I overschedule myself. Understanding that faith is important to me helps me see why I might feel sad when a loved one steps away from a shared faith. When I lose sight of what I'm grateful for, this can also affect my ability to show up and live in love. I know that love is one of my greatest values, and the only thing that I really have control over in my life and in my relationships is to just love. So I can always ask myself this question to help me move towards love. What would love look like in this situation? Can you see how defining my personal values have helped me live with more purpose and intention? I love this quote by President Gordon B. Hinckley. He says, "Love is the only force that can compose the differences between people, that can bridge the chasms of bitterness and animosity that so frequently and violently separate us." I call to mind these telling lines of Edwin Markham. He drew a circle that shuts me out, heretic, rebel, and a thing to flout. But love and I had the wit to win. We drew a circle that took him in. Love just feels better. I will also add here that when we know what we value, we can also set healthy boundaries in our relationships. Healthy boundaries create healthy relationships. Healthy boundaries mean we are showing and feeling love for everyone in the story, including ourselves. If you want to learn more about boundaries, listen to episode 73 of this podcast where I talk about what boundaries are and what they are not. So once you've discovered those 6 to 10 values, I want you to set another timer for 5 minutes. This is the vision part of the exercise. Now I know this is a longer episode and there's more pieces to this challenge. However, this sets the foundation for all the other challenges and they will be shorter for sure. But this is the foundation of where you want to go. The goal is to begin to craft your vision for your relationship of focus. So I want to invite you to reflect on the values that you have defined and discovered for yourself. And then you're going to write about what comes to mind as you consider the following questions. 1, how have these values influenced your relationship? 2, are there things in your life that you've done because of these values? 3, how can understanding these values help you as you strengthen your relationship with the person you are focusing on during the 5-day challenge? Number 4, if you lived in alignment with your values, what would that look like in your relationship? 5, what is your role in this relationship? And 6, who do you want to be in your relationship? So this is step 1 for this 5-day Relationship Reboot challenge. Spend some time defining your values and vision for your relationship of focus. This step sets the intention for the rest of the challenge and will help you as you create a path to where you want to go and the person you want to be. This makes me think of a talk that was given by Elder Dieter F. Uchtdorf called Daily Restoration. He says this: there is an oft-repeated theory that people who are lost walk in circles. Not long ago, scientists at the Max Planck Institute for Biological Cybernetics tested that theory. They took participants to a thick forest and gave them simple instructions. Walk in a straight line. There were no visible landmarks. The test subjects had to rely solely on their sense of direction. How do you think they did? The scientists concluded people really do walk in circles when they do not have reliable cues to their walking direction. When questioned afterwards, some participants self-confidently claimed that they had not deviated in the slightest. Despite their high confidence, GPS data showed that they walked in loops as tight as 20 meters in diameter. Why do we have such a hard time walking in a straight line? Some researchers hypothesize that small, seemingly insignificant deviations in terrain make the difference. Others have pointed to the fact that we all have one leg that's slightly stronger than the other. More likely, however, we struggle to walk straight ahead because of increasing uncertainty about where straight ahead is. Whatever the cause, it is human nature. Without reliable landmarks, we drift off course. Now, Elder Uchtdorf is referring to the spiritual landmarks we have in our life that help us to stay on the covenant path back to our heavenly parents. However, I think this idea is very applicable to this topic as well. If we don't intentionally decide who we want to be in our relationships, we will find ourselves walking in circles. We can view our values as those landmarks that will help us create the vision we have around the relationships in our lives. And I will end this challenge with this. When I was struggling with a particular relationship in my life, I believed it was the other person's fault. If they would just change, I would feel better. But blaming the other person wasn't taking responsibility for the person I was showing up as. It only created more evidence of how this relationship was terrible and strained. It felt depressing because it felt like it would always be this way and that I was destined to be miserable in this relationship. However, when I started focusing on my values and who I wanted to be in this relationship, everything changed. I changed. The relationship changed. I can honestly say that this relationship is more beautiful than I ever thought it could be. Now, does that mean I agree with everything this person does? No. And I don't have to in order to love them. We actually aren't meant to all agree with each other on everything. We are each amazing and uniquely different. These differences actually make the world a beautiful place and are what help us learn, grow, and become the best version of ourselves. So what are those values that you want guiding you in your life? How can they create the life and relationship you desire? If you lived by those values, who would you be and how would you show up in your relationships? Can you envision yourself showing up that way? That's all I have for you today. I hope this challenge helps you define your values and vision for your life and your relationships. Be sure to download your workbook so that you can use it as a guide to help you through this challenge. And be sure to follow this podcast so that you can get notified when the next challenge has dropped. Thank you for being here and have a joyful day. Thank you so much for listening. If you like what you hear, I would love it if you would share it with your friends and family and leave me a rating and review. If you'd like to learn more about what life coaching is, please schedule a free discovery call with me where we can work together through something that's causing you a problem. Just go to my website, seasons-coaching.com, and you can also find information about my Seasons of Joy one-on-one coaching program and my Seasons of Joy community. Have a joyful week, and I'll see you next time.